You ever wonder what separates a brilliant idea that actually changes the world from one that just fizzles out? Well, you know what? It's rarely about the idea itself. It's all about the journey, how you get from that first spark of a concept to a finished reality. And today, that's the journey we're going to break down.
Okay, so let's be real for a second. Think about the last time you were part of some big effort. Could be at work, could be at school, heck, even just planning a vacation, and it just felt totally chaotic, right? That feeling like you're just spinning your wheels and not getting anywhere? Yeah, we've all been there. And that chaos, it always looks the same, doesn't it? Deadlines just flying by. The budget? Poof, gone. The team has no idea what they're supposed to be doing. And then there's my favorite, scope creep. That's when you think you're almost done, but the finish line just keeps moving further and further away. These aren't just little annoyances. They're huge red flags that something is fundamentally broken.
And here's the thing. The bridge that gets you from a dream to a real, tangible result isn't built on wishful thinking or luck. Nope. It is built on a solid foundation of structure, and most importantly, a really well-thought-out plan.
So, this brings us to the core of it all. We're going to look at how that simple act of planning is basically the ultimate antidote to all that project chaos. It's how you transform the mess into total clarity and control. So, what do we call this whole practice? It's project management. And at its heart, it's really just the process of guiding a team towards a specific goal. But listen closely to the most important words here: defined, time, budget, and scope. See, these aren't just friendly suggestions. They're the guardrails. They're what keep the entire project from flying right off a cliff. This quote from our source material really nails it. Planning isn't just about making some massive to-do list. It's about answering two absolutely fundamental questions. First, where are we actually going? And second, what is the absolute best way to get there? And why does this matter so much? Well, a good plan, it's like a compass for the whole team. It makes sure everybody is rowing in the same direction. It gives you a framework for making tough decisions. It defines what done actually looks like. And maybe the most important thing, it gives you a stable base so you can adapt when, inevitably, things change. All right, so planning is crucial. We get it. But how in the world do you start to plan for something that feels massive and overwhelming? The secret is, you don't. You plan for the small, bite-sized pieces. You know that old saying, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Let's see how that actually works. Now, in the world of project management, that one bite at a time strategy has a name. It's called the Work Breakdown Structure, or WBS for short. This is basically the art of taking your entire project and just systematically chopping it up into smaller and smaller pieces until every single task is easy to wrap your head around. Let's use a perfect example from the source material. Building a brand new mobile app. The final shiny app working on your phone, that's the finished dish. That's our level 1. And right here, you can see the first breakdown. The whole mobile app project gets broken up into its big phases, kind of like chapters in a book. And it makes perfect sense, right? You got to plan before you design, you got to design before you develop, and so on. It's a logical flow. But we don't stop there. We take one of those big phases, like development, and we slice it up again. What does development even mean? Well, it means coding the front end, the part the user actually sees and touches, and it means coding the back end, all the server and database stuff. We're just adding more and more layers of detail. And the entire goal of doing this, the whole reason, is to get down to something we call work packages. A work package is a task that's so small and so clear that you can hand it to one person, tell them exactly what needs to be done, and then you can easily estimate how long it'll take and how much it'll cost. This is how you make a giant project feel totally doable. Okay, so we've broken down all our work into these neat little packages. Now it's time to face reality. Because every single project, and I mean every project, is squeezed by what we call the triple constraint. You've got time, you've got cost, and you've got risk. Let's look at how we wrestle with these. First up, time. How long is this thing going to take? Well, there are two main ways to figure this out. You've got the top-down approach, which is fast. It's basically an educated guess. You look at a similar project you did in the past and say, it'll probably take about that long. It's a ballpark figure, best for when you're just starting. But for real accuracy, you need to go bottom up. That means you estimate the time for every single work package and then add it all together. Yeah, it's way more work up front, but your timeline will be rock solid. And what's really interesting is that figuring out the costs uses a very similar playbook.
You've got your analogous and your bottom-up methods, just like with time, but there's one extra step here that really separates the pros from the rookies: reserve analysis. This is you being smart and building a buffer into your budget, a contingency fund for the problems you know might happen, and for the ones that will pop up out of nowhere. That budget buffer leads us right into our third constraint: risk. Now, managing risk isn't just about sitting around worrying. It's a structured 5-step process. First, you identify everything that could possibly go wrong. Then you analyze it. Step 2 is qualitative, where you just rank a risk. Is it high impact, low probability? It helps you prioritize. For the really big, scary stuff, you move to step 3, which is quantitative. You put actual numbers on it. Then, step 4, you plan your response. And finally, and this is so important, you monitor and control those risks constantly. You never ever take your eye off the ball.
All right, we've defined all the work, we've estimated our time and our cost, we've planned for what could go wrong. We have all the pieces of the puzzle laid out on the table. So, how do we actually put them together so we can see the whole picture?
This is the final piece. You've got this long, complicated list of tasks, who's doing what and when. How on earth do you turn that big spreadsheet of data into a clear, simple roadmap that everybody on the team can actually understand and follow?
Well, the answer is a tool that's been a project manager's best friend for more than 100 years. It's called the Gantt chart. And at the end of the day, it's really just a simple bar chart, but it is one of the most powerful ways to see your entire project from beginning to end.
Let's just look at it in action. It is so intuitive. Every task gets its own row, the timeline runs across the top, and the length and the position of each bar tells you everything you need to know: when a task starts, when it ends, and how long it's supposed to take. In one single glance, the entire project schedule just clicks into place. And its real superpower, it lets you see potential problems and bottlenecks before they actually happen. And this right here is the big payoff for all that planning. The Gantt chart is your roadmap. It takes all that complexity, all the estimates, all the dependencies, and it translates it into one single, clear, actionable path that guides the whole team from day one all the way to the finish line. So you see, project management isn't some kind of dark art. It's a set of really powerful, logical tools, like the work breakdown structure and the Gantt chart, that are all designed for one single purpose: to bring order to chaos and to turn a great idea into a great reality. So the only question left is, what are you going to build?